Good morning, it's George with Watchman German Shepherds. We're here this morning with Prada. Prada is due tomorrow. Today is June 3rd, 2020. Prada is due June 4th, 2020. And so she's getting closer, and we'll go over some of the indicators of the whole latter end of the process, and we'll talk about some other things there. First, I just want to say that Prada is just 3 years old, or I guess 3.5 now. Yeah, she was born December 26, 2016, so she's 3.5. Wow, that's just amazing the time. And so this coming December, she'll be 4 years old, December 26th. And then as far as Prada's history and all, Prada is an IPO 1 dog. She's been trained and titled in the disciplines of tracking and obedience and also protection. It's just an entry level titling, IPO 1. I'm not getting into, they changed the names of these titlings, the basic name. They used to call it the Schutzhund, which means protection dog, but that's too unfriendly, and then they changed it to the IPO, I think, and now it's even something else. So to me and to you, it's IPO. She's an IPO 1, and that's all good because she is very sound. That's the purpose of the testing, to make sure, yes, physically that they're good, athletic wise and all, but that they're sound, or as Germans say, clear in the head. And so she passed all that testing. It finishes up with the 12-mile run, and she got through all that. You can tell she is very sound. She's a really, really good dog, and she's beautiful. I don't have to tell you that, right, Prada? Good, 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 good. Yes. So the other thing is that she has the core class, the KKL, which is what they call a breed survey. So after she gets her IPO 1 and she proves herself physically and mentally, then she goes before the judge. He checks her teeth, he checks her ears, he checks her just everything. There's no overbite, the length of the tail, the whole structure of the dog, and they're looking for any faults, and if there's any disqualifying faults, and or a number of lesser faults that aren't disqualifiers but they're undesirable, then so many of them, they won't give you that core. They won't give you the class there, the core class. That's a German word. I'm not going to get into that, but basically it's checking the dog's overall conformation, we say here. And again, teeth and the tail and feet and just all that stuff there. So they could conceivably pass the other testing to be, sound, clear in the head, and physically able to go through all that training and testing and get that title, and yet, I don't know, have a crooked tooth or a missing tooth or something that may disqualify them from getting the core class, which at the end of that whole process, they're basically saying this dog is worthy to pass on its genetics. And so that's the whole thing there. And as being a member of the German Shepherd Dog Club of America, one of the things I agreed to do was to improve upon the breed, right? So you can't be any more discriminating than what the Germans do, as far as testing and proving and examining the dogs that they breed. And that's what it's all about. It may seem like over the top to you, but that's what they're doing. And so to me, it's very valuable. I myself am not a trainer. I'm not a judge in any way, but I know a sound dog when I see one, and I know a well-behaved dog when I see one, and so does anyone else. And so in the case of my dogs here, Prada, particularly, there's a lot that goes into bringing a dog to this stage, and then the puppies and all that's involved there. And so it's just a lot of time. Time is money, and the puppies aren't cheap. And that's not for everyone, and I understand that totally. So just explaining some of the particulars there and the specifics with Prada. She's moving along. Now, the next thing that I just would say, as far as her pregnancy and all, is that a dog will show some indicators leading up to the final stage of labor and into delivery. And a couple of the early ones, they'll start to have smaller bowel movements, and that could be like for 3 or 4 days prior to delivery. Prada's been doing that. It's actually definitely for 4 days. And so sometimes that doesn't happen until 2 days before, or 3, in this case 4, and maybe even 5. She's been having smaller bowels, and that's to get them all ready, because from what I can tell, I don't know, but it would seem, as a lot of God's designs, it has a purpose, and she, once a dog delivers the litter, they normally will not have a bowel movement for a couple of days. So, and that's another thing, they will lose their appetite typically a day prior, 24 hours prior to the delivery too. So you get the idea that they're clearing out, and they're going to be able to spend a long time with the puppies. 24 hours. I've seen puppies would go longer than a day and a half. At that point, I'd take them out and make sure they relieve themselves, because they can get, I would say, overly concerned and protective of the puppies. They won't leave them, and that's good for 6, 12, 18 hours. That's fine. That's normal. But then at a point, they have to relieve themselves. And so a few of them I've had to really push that, to take them out, put a leash on them, and walk them out of the whelping box, because they were so instinctively wanting to stay with the puppies. And then they get used to that 3, 4 days, 5 days, and they get in and out of the box, and they get the whole idea. So very very interesting. With, again, the whole build up to delivery, those couple of things there, the smaller bowel movements, and also nesting. They'll scratch, or I guess it's more appropriate to say burrowing. They scratch, they dig. If it was dirt, they would dig a little burrow there to have the litter in. And in the cold weather, that would keep the puppies warmer, and in the warm weather, it would keep them cooler. And they definitely do that. That always takes place a few days before. It can be a week before, but that'll be going on. Then the next thing, I would say the labored breathing, the panting, that starts to go on. So that's not contractions when they're doing that, but they're building up to that. So they'll start to pant. And it could be a day before, but that's really a serious indicator that they're getting real close. Once they start panting, and it comes in like waves, you'll see, and they'll increase, they'll build up over, throughout the day or the night, and they'll get more and more. And that panting will give way to the final stage, which is contractions, the uterine contractions. And that will result in a puppy getting pushed into the birth canal, and the mom pushes the puppy out. Or sometimes the contractions are such, especially in the beginning, the puppy gets pushed right out, and the mom doesn't even have to push. I'm sure you all have heard or seen or have some acquaintance with, when a woman's having a baby, they say push, push, right? So once the contractions bring the puppy into the birth canal, then it's got to come out. And so again, depending on the strength of the contractions, typically in the beginning of the delivery, they're stronger. And then in the case of dogs, you have 7, 8, 9 puppies, 10 puppies, sometimes more than that. Well, the contractions get less, and their ability to push, they're tired, right? The moms get tired. So that's a concern toward the end of a larger litter of puppies. But so those things there we're talking about as far as the final stages, and I want to just show you if I can, like her size. It's hard to looking through the camera lens. Yes, she looks bigger, but looking at her just directly, she's big. I'm gonna get her to stand up, and we'll see if we can get a little bit of the roundness there and the lowness of her belly. She's really, from the other day even, she's a lot bigger, significantly bigger. And so, again, I don't know what you can see, but I can tell you that she's bulging pretty much there. If she was a thinner dog, like we had Fiona, and she's a thin dog, she looked like she had a basketball. Well, if Prada was thin, she had 9 puppies. Did she? Wait, I'm mixing up there. Never mind that. I don't know how many puppies she had, but she had a big bulge. Prada's a little bigger, and if she was thinner like Athena, she would look like she had a big basketball in her, and even bigger than a basketball. So, just trying to make some type of comparison as I'm trying to show you the size, which is an indicator of the size of the puppies or the size of the litter, how many puppies in the litter. In this case, we know that she has at least 9 puppies as of, it took her at about 35 days, I want to say, to get her ultrasound. And so hopefully all those puppies developed. It would seem they did. And hopefully beyond that, she delivers them all safely, and that she herself will be safe. I think with that, that's all I wanted to say. Those couple of things there, Prada herself and her history and all, and then some about the delivery and the whole process there building up to the delivery. It's George with Watchman German Shepherds. I do appreciate you subscribing. If you have not, please do. Maybe even take a minute to hit the like button, the thumbs up, and share. That'd be nice too. If you pass the video along, maybe share it on your Facebook feed, or share it with a friend maybe that would have an interest, whether it's in the breed or in any type of dog, if they're thinking about getting a dog, or if they're curious about, in this case, this video subject is a pregnant dog and the delivery process, and some of those other things that I discussed in the beginning of the video with proving the dog and discriminately breeding and selecting a dog to try to help minimize any problems after after a puppy is born. And so if you share the video to a friend, or again at your news feed or your Instagram, I appreciate that. And comments and questions, I always appreciate those. I don't know everything. If you have any comments or information for me, I appreciate that. And any questions, if I can answer them, I'll be glad to. And besides that, the Lord bless you as you trust Him today. And until next time, you take care.